Okay, now I'm going to show you. Hopefully I can pull this off, Tim. So can you speak while I'm doing this?
Yeah, so Tom's going to bring up a 32 branch example and he'll kind of go detail it more. But what we have in the system, it's going to be live in the system. So you've seen some slides and it's a simulation of what is inside the academy, really. And Tom's going to log in and kind of show it here. 32 branch network. And the way this is kind of shown is each branch is individual. And if you're a, say, corporate where you have multiple branches, you can say as a CEO or a VP or whatever your role is, regional, you can see all your branches under one spot. You can break them down by month. There's graphing, all these type of things. I'll let, and that's what Tom's logged into. And this is what the academy is. We give you access.
Can you see my screen, Tim?
I can see it. Yeah, you look great.
So I'm just logging in as Tim. We set this up as a demo database. The name of the company is called, I think, Demo Tim. And I just want to be able to show you. First of all, Tim can see all the records in the system. You'll notice here that all the records in the system are 1,491. 1,414 is what's in here now. So you can look at this. You can sort this any way you want to. If you want to find a like-size branch, you know, here's branches doing 1 million. Here's branches doing this. This is 100 at a time, right? So let me just jump forward here, find a $4 million branch. And I could look at this and say, okay, here's a branch that was $4 million. And I'm comparing it to another branch that did $4 million. One lost 21,000, one made 16,000. Why did this branch lose money? The 40 minutes you've already spent with us, you can tell you this, that bottom number, the top number is too low. They only got 67 basis points to pay 121. Boom. Done. Right? So you can see any branch you want to. The key to our system, 100% confidentiality. I don't know who this branch is. I can identify it with a record here, but I don't know who it is. As an admin, I could dig in and find out. But ultimately for you, it's not important. I told my tech team, I said, guys, I want to share all this data, but I don't want to say who it is. So ultimately you can see that. So now, Tim, as a company, we're going to go to demo branch, the demo company. And now Tim can see all of his branches. I can sort this by date. I can say, okay, let's just see where we're at. This is, we just named branches. So, you know, there'll obviously be a name here, whichever where they're at. You know, 2011, I'm sorting it by date. Coming down to 2010, 2010, 2010, 2010. Come all the way down here. These are all the branches that input their data, right? Coming down here, you can kind of see that, you know, part of the program. Now, I can ultimately change this. I can sort this by CPI, up, down. I can sort it by profit. Any one of these are sortable up or down. Now, if I wanted to look at a particular branch, and let's just say I come up with branch AC in this example, I'm now only looking at Tim's the regional. He might be the president. He's the CEO. Tim is the regional. And ultimately, Tim can look at this branch and how it can stack rank. How's he doing? How's he or she doing? The AC branch, right? Well, let's just look at this. He made $63,000 in the month 11, but in month 10, he lost $5,700. Now, dawned on me, first of all, let's look in the difference of, as far as the two of these are concerned. This shows you the two branches doing 26 million. It's a whole lot of volume, folks. Yes, this is during refi mania, but it's irrelevant. This could be today. It wouldn't matter. What's the difference? 312 versus 302. They made 10 basis points more on the top number. They lost 8 basis points. They made 8 basis points more on the bottom number. That's a cumulative 18 basis points. Their CPI is 18 basis points higher. And their LO comp was just only a little bitty 8 basis points lower than the branch that lost money. So ultimately, if I added all that up, I'm at 18 plus 8, I'm at 26. This branch lost 2 basis points. This branch made 24. Little bitty tweaks. What can we do to increase the top? What can we do to lower the bottom? You can see the effect of this. $63,000. It's a ton of money. $5,700. It's close to break even, but you're not here to break even. You're here to make money. So tweaking that. When I did this example in Tim's situation, because this was real data, I looked at this and said, oh, I was coaching that company. Right? I took them through it and I said, okay, guys, we need to work on getting this number higher. We need to work on getting this number a little lower. It's not many changes. I think they had, I I don't know, they had an office or something they were paying for, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I figured out a way to lower their expenses. 190, 166. The comp is in line with what's there. It's about 40. This is 53%. It's 58%. Might be a tad high, but you can still look here. I can pay out 53% of the revenue and still make money as long as the others are within line. Now I want to show you something at the top. Once your data starts to go in, this graphs it month by month by month. You can kind of see here what happened this month. Only had 272. Let's talk about that. Look at the CPI. They dipped below the 130 line down here. Ultimately, you start to realize this and say, holy cow, why was that CPI number? I know this particular example, this was a cold weather branch. January, they didn't close a whole lot of loans, right? So that CPI dipped. And they had a lot of people for not a lot of volume, right? Same old story. If that's going to change, keep the people. If you forecast out 90 days and it's not going to change, you got to make some decisions or be willing to bite the bullet on the loss. Questions on this, folks? How am I doing on time, Tim?
Yeah, you're doing great. There was a question just on what you just hit there. It was right around, what do I do? Because it's kind of, they're getting it. What are the suggestions? And I think it's some of the modules that you're going to show. What to do if I see consistency, and how quick do I let people go? What's this?
Well, I mean, it depends on the situation, right? Let me tell you this. I've seen this happen probably 4 or 5 times in my career, whether it was at Majestic Mortgage or whether it was, me consulting and training and coaching other people. The hard thing is to let people go. And the struggle is you geared up for a bigger volume number. And then when refi stopped, you didn't have your seatbelt on, and sometimes you hit the windshield. So ultimately, you got to look at this and say, my suggestion, look at 90-day increments. Strategic coach, Dan Sullivan, I took his class for 3 years. He always thought, this is 20 years ago. He always thought in 90-day blocks. Think in 90-day blocks. What's this look like in 90 days? Here's the other thing, folks. You may have more talent outside your 4 walls than you have inside. The person that got laid off by XYZ might be better and cheaper than the one you have currently. What's going on? But that's your call. I can't make that call. Might be your sister-in-law, might be your brother. You got to make that decision. I'm just telling you, you have to see the number. If you see the number and choose not to do anything about it, that's your call, not mine. I'm just going to point it out to you in an easier way for you to be able to look at that.
So
can I roll?
Another quick question on this topic. Question from the field here. How do you handle dramatic margin compression that brings the top business blood pressure to a 180 or so for a while, like mortgage banks the last 10 months?
Great question. There might not be anything we can do with it. I can tell you that there's a tendency to get sloppy. When you need business, it shows. It registers with the client. I think in our own heads, it's in our heads that we have to discount to get this loan. Always realize something. I know most of the people on this call are rock stars when it comes down to service. You don't get a chance to give exemplary service because if they go to XYZ, and that's the devil, the dark side, and it's a purchase and they don't show up at closing with the money, that's going to be a problem. But I would tell you that you got to make sure your bottom, if you're going to have 188, I just showed you that example. Let me see if I get back there. Let's use that example. Let's just say the compression here. Let's just say this 188, right? If you're going to get 188 in, right? Now, first of all, remember this. This is a great point. Write this one down, folks, because this is a huge takeaway. When you set up LO Comp with your loan officer, they agreed to work from a rate sheet that had X in it. Let's just call it 300. Okay. If the rate sheet was built for 300 and they all say we can't get it because of margin compression, guess what? Then we need to readjust that comp. I can't pay him 158. You agreed to bring in 300 if I'm going to pay you 158. You're only bringing in 188. I got to adjust this comp right now because our agreement basically says, I give you this if you do this for me. All the money for all the work the way I want it done. That's Tom Wardisms. Okay. So if you got to work from the lower number here, then you've got to, number one, you got to have your back room in order to make sure it right sizes it, but you can't afford to pay an LO 158 basis points of the 188. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Great question.
Any follow-ups, shoot me the email.
That was a great question.
Or in the
So
chat.
as you see this, right, and you start to realize this is how you do it. Okay, so now let's roll into how easy it is it to put a response in, right?
So what Tom's going to pull up here is how to put this in. So I think it's the technical side, which is very quick. You have your P&L, and it becomes a very quick calculation input of data that allows you to see this pretty quick. And I think the point that was just brought up, the question was really good, is how do you make those adjustments really quick? One of the things that we kind of teach is to, get the numbers as close to the end of the month as possible, right? The beginning of the new month. So you can have those in and you can respond immediately to what's going on in your branch, in your business.
Here's what the input looks like. You can see my screen?
Yeah.
So ultimately, let's look at this and see, in this example, you're going to look here. What I'm going to need is I'm going to need to put, obviously, your company. We will have your login set up so we have your company in your branch, right? The date, again, put in the month and the year. The volume, how much money did you, how much volume did you close that month? We put in units here. We don't use it today. I left it in here as a field only because maybe we'll use it at some point in the future. Total revenue, take it off your rate sheet, take it off your sheet. Ultimately, you look at it and you see, okay, here's how much revenue I had off my P&L. Total expenses, make sure you exclude the LO compensation. If it's in there, take it out. How much did you pay out in LO compensation? How much did you profit or loss in dollars? While you're doing that, and when Tim shows you how to do this on your example branch, this populates for you. Not even, probably 4 months ago, I would have people put in the number. I would have people give me their P&L and we'd do it for you. It didn't work as well as this does, because I had my tech team set it up, says if you plug in those numbers, it'll calculate the business blood pressure and all the other stuff for you. Store the data, and it goes into the database, and you can now see branch by branch by branch everything that you're doing.
I think it's about the solutions now. Okay. So I know my blood pressure. I think it's that analogy. If you kind of make this one a top point there and make it a full screen in the presentation mode, it's like, you know what your sickness is. And it's the 180 over, 120 over 80 is your blood pressure. That's what good looks like. Mine's out of whack. So what do I need to do? Eat better, exercise, maybe
take this pill.
Right. So what we do is you have your blood pressure, your business blood pressure. You have it now. So, okay, what do we do, Tom?
That's exactly right. So then, and that's where how our program's different. I would encourage you, when you get to the website, when you get to the Profitability Academy website, I would encourage you to look and see why our program's different. Normally, a program is a hit and run. It's kind of like I used to call the seminars you go through sometimes like Chinese food syndrome, right? I'm hungry 2 hours later, right? And it just becomes, you don't need to do that. I want you to continue. I'm living vicariously through your branch today. If I can show an improvement, I want you to be able to high five me and say, we knocked it out of the park, man. I was losing. I got testimonial after testimonial of guys and girls that said, Tom, you saved my company. And it brings a tear to my eye when I hear that. But ultimately, that's what you want to be able to do. So I wanted to be able to bring this. And folks, it's not cheap. I'm going to be the first to tell you, I'm coming from the value side. I'm proposing something to you that's going to you look at it and you say, holy cow, how am I going to pay for this? I don't have any, I'm not making any money now. I know we're going to fix that you're making money futuristically. It's just a matter of, looking at it to be able to say, if you think we have something to offer, that's valuable, I would encourage you to get in the game. So go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. So if you want to go to the next slide, we want to show you what that looks like. And it's the Academy. And the Academy, we're going to show you the website and kind of what you get with it. It's the modules, it's the solutions. And I think we'll show the modules here. And Tom's got that, it'll pop up here in a second. But overall value in really changing that momentum for your branch, or kind of showing you easily what that looks like, and being, having the leadership with the information to make key decisions to move forward. Tom offers 19 hours, with Tom. It's 7 modules. This is the Academy, 12 monthly sessions, and the consulting rate, he usually charges $300 an hour. So that's $5,700. You convert up to 12 months of past P&Ls into the system. So you saw the graph that Tom had earlier. What we'll do is we go retroactive. We'll go backwards. And for $99 a month, that's what it would have been of the last 12 months. The value is $1,188. So we'll have that history there. You get started with the Academy, and right away you have a history. Then the next part's monthly group coaching session. So there would be something like this it's more open. Tom will go through, but it's a coaching, it's a group coaching. So it's showcasing branch progress, right? That's a $23.88 value. Retail's $199. So when you add that up and you offer, of course, price lock guarantee, where the lifetime pricing of what we offer and what we offer today, and thanking you guys for coming along. You wouldn't be here if you weren't an A player. I mean, people wouldn't be on this call trying to improve in the first place. So you differentiate yourself just by being here. But that's priceless. It's locked in. So total value is $9,276 for everything you get. But we're going to, for today and kind of offer a discount on that, thanking you for coming and kind of listening and, you guys getting a piece of this. And I know there's a lot more of reps that are needed to kind of grasp all the numbers that Tom threw out there. But if you want to go to the next slide, Tom, what we're going to do is take that 926 and drop it to 1497. That one-time payment is the Academy. It's getting you in, and we'll show it here in a second. It's all of the modules, which include videos, which include theory, which include all of that type of stuff, and then getting in and putting your data in, right? The $99 a month is the group coaching, allowing you to have access to the data of other branches. Again, all confidential information, but you can compare that and say, wow, we had a great month. Did other people? Wow, we really struggled this month.
Just to back up, it also includes every month for you to have access to that database to put your data in, right? Not only do you come on the coaching call, but you put your data in every month.
Yeah. So you're tapped into that database that Tom was showing earlier. So if we go to the next slide, so 1497 plus 99. But what we're going to do, again, just to say thank you, is offer a $500 discount upfront, coupon that brings it to $997. So, that's, what we're trying to do to just bring this value. It's a one-time cost of $997. And then the coaching is in the database and all that is $99 per month. So how do you do it? I have questions here. I got a quick email. How do we do it? On the website, it looks just like this. You'll put the coupon code in. The coupon code, if you want to write this down, is WEB51723, WEB 51723. That's our date today. It's the webinar. That's why we have that. It expires Friday at midnight, and we thank you for being here. Go to ProfitAbilityAcademy.com to find this. I'll show it to you in a second. But we don't have the manpower like a lot of us do not have to chase anybody. We want to give you this offer and thank you for joining and being a part of the Academy. And we're going to have this coaching sessions to kind of work with your business over the next period of time. So write that down. We'll show you how to do it. I know you got a couple more slides here, Tom, but we could go live to the website and show them all the modules and all that too.
Yeah, I just want to make another point here that some of you were here by invitation only, right? I knew who some of you were, and I believe that the whole membership of the Profitability Academy will be better because of some of you that are on this webinar. I hope you join because you will make the whole program better because of your input. And I think that's a huge takeaway for me. And I want, obviously, could I go to private consulting and charge $300 an hour all day long? I did it for 10 years, right? But at the end of the day, I know the mortgage business is in a lot of pain. And ultimately, I want to be able to give back to something that's been so good to me over time. So here's what it looks like. Oh, Tim, you want to mention this? This is an add-on later.
Well, it's only because people are asking for it. So the silver program is everything I just talked about. The only difference in the gold is that instead of $99 a month, it's $199 a month, and it's a quarterly one-on-one session coaching with Tom. People have said, hey, can I do a one-on-one? I like the group. And there's alumni, I think, that are even on this call, or alumni that have been part of it. Really, to echo Tom's comment there, we wouldn't have the story. He didn't have the story of the $26 million branch if they weren't alumni, right? They're alumni, and that's the stories that you guys will bring to us, as a group going forward. But $199 gets you a quarterly one-on-one with Tom. So it's everything included plus that. So it's just a little bit different. Again, the coupon code is there, expires Friday. And then what we'll do is if you go to the next slide, Tom, if you're ready for that, I'll let you,
Yeah, let me just talk about this money back guarantee. Folks, if I can't improve your CPI, you know what it is now, by 10 basis points, I'm going to give you your tuition back for that Branch Profitability Academy. If you're doing $24 million a year in production, 10 basis points is $24,000. If I can't improve your CPI by 10 bips, you get all your money back. Obviously, I need you to participate. So I need you to be on the calls and go through the modules with us and everything else. We do have a launch date. It's Thursday the 25th. Now, why did we stop the discount on Friday? Because we need enough time to input the data that you're going to give to us so you can start seeing this through the process. So as I recap today, Tim, I'm going to switch gears here. And you want me to go to the website?
Yeah, in a second, let's just recap, so what Tom did today, he's taught you how to convert the P&L into 8 KPIs. Those are those chips, right, from Bellagio. You keep your eyes on the big chips and you'll have a good feel for, what's going on. He shows you the 2 branch comparisons, the 32 branch company. And really what Tom's talking about is I'm going to offer to, between now and you sign up and next Thursday, I'll put your numbers in retroactively with you for the last 12 months. So you'll come into that first session here, which is the first module, which will show you all the modules here in a minute. You'll come already geared up with your own historical, information. So you'll be ready for the coaching.
Tim, time out here just for a minute.
Yeah.
I just saw, I had a question that came through my phone. You don't have to sign up. To be honest, if you have your data there, which we promised you, we would allow you to be able to put it into the system. If you have your data there, we'll put it in. Tim will go one-on-one with you. Still check it out. Still call them. Still go through it. Get a spot to at least put that 1 month of data in that we promised you could do. Once you sign up, if you decide to sign up, once you sign up, we'll put those 12 months backwards in there for you. You'll do it with them, Tim.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Everybody in the call, we'll do 1 month for free so you can get a feel for it. And the money back guarantee is what it's all about. We don't want your money if you're not going to, really excel in what we offer, because we have seen people do really well and change their business. So if we want to go to the website, we can kind of show them how that works. Tom, we do have Q&A coming up, and we'll kind of go through that after. But I know some people did want to jump. We want to stick to our 1 hour, and we're pretty close to it, right? But let's go to the website. We're going to go to, and if you want to do it with us, we're just going to show you how it works. It's not really too difficult to comprehend, but go to ProfitAbilityAcademy.com or watch this here. And Tom, go ahead and can you show us the modules and what we're talking about on the site?
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, watch this. I think it's 6 minutes. Watch this. I'll tell you about the whole program, what it entails, but I'll go briefly with you. Module 1 talks about knowing your numbers, the business blood pressure. We do a rehearsal again to making sure that you understand the whole business blood pressure system. Talk about culture, how it's got to be a match through that process. Module 2, this is the monster that I created. Now I show you the boogeyman, right? Now how are we going to fix it? So module 2 gets into the deep dive on how do we improve that top number. A lot of it has to do with where you're involved with the customer. What type of loans are you doing? That whole process. Module 3 is a deep dive on reducing the expenses. Again, these are our sessions. They're multiple videos. When I put this program together, ultimately, I wanted to make sure, I think every video in here is 5 minutes or less. Now, you can do this DIY, but we're going to do a Q&A once a week, and we're going to go through the module. So you can, if you have questions on this module, we're going to do that week 1. Questions on this module, we're going to do it on week 2. Week 3 is a deep dive on reduction of expenses, right? How do we, and we'll have some people say, hey, Tom, thanks for that tip. I just dropped my number from 168 to 140. LO comp, what's fair, is module 4. Module 5, it's huge. We just added this. How do you get more loans in today's system? Because we need more loans today, more loans. I had to be able to add it in there. Number 6 pulls it all together. And number 7 talks about how you utilize what you just learned to recruit the right people through the process. Coming down here even further, I would encourage you to read the philosophy piece of what's there. This gives you an idea of what the database is currently at. The Profitability Academy, you can watch this on an iPad, a Mac, a PC. I spent enormous time being able to make sure that all the looks were correct. This shows you some results of some of the branches that have already, this is by private consulting through the process of what was there. This gives you a little bio. And then here, all you do is you click on, if you say, I want to go to silver, right? And you look at this, you're going to put in a coupon code. So watch as we put in the coupon code, which is web 517. If I screw this up, Tim, let me know.
Oh, looks good. Yep.
I apply that coupon code. Your due cost is $9.97. And then 30 days from now, you'll give us $99 for those coaching calls, the group coaching calls that are with it. If you decide you want to have one-on-ones, ultimately roll to the second, to the gold program. and then go from there.
Yeah,
Questions, Tim? Let's get to Q&A. Folks, I know we're about 3 minutes over. I'm sorry for that. We started a little bit late only because we had some people that are having technical difficulties, but I really appreciate everybody that's on here today. I know an hour of your life has just been spent. Hopefully it's been well worth it to you. I think that it's in the beginning of time, the mortgage business, I have a high school education, folks. And the mortgage, I got more than I probably should have, knock on wood. And in this situation, in the beginning of time, there were people there to help me in the beginning of time. I wouldn't be here today without those folks. Today, it's my turn to give back. Could I have charged $9,000? I don't know, maybe. Would I've gotten all of it? Maybe not. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to create a difference in the mortgage business. This is my legacy piece, folks. All of a sudden, we look up and we say, holy cow, there's 100 members, there's 500 members. What's happening there? That's going to be, I want to change the language of that P&L. Call it Tom Wardisms, whatever you want to be able to call it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, my program's the way I do it, it's pretty simple. And why? Because I got a simple brain, with what's there. So go ahead, Tim, hit me with all the Q&A. And if you got a bolt, guys and girls, thank you so much for being on here. You got Q&A. I'm going to do Q&A until however long we need. So
can you prompt up the $4 million comparison branch? Can you show that screen again?
Well, a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure here for that.
Well, if you can, if not, there's a questions.
No, I will.
First questions around that.
Giving you a hard time.
While he pulls this up, I'm glad to set up a time to run through your numbers and put it in the system. I put my email address in the chat. I'll give it to you one more time. And there's no cost there. It's just, we want you to get a feel for it and feel comfortable. It's tim@profitabilitycoach.com. So you can go ahead and go there. Any questions? I mean, Tom's kind of done talking. So you could unmute and ask the question if you want. You could put it in the chat. You could send it to the email, all these type of things. So I'm going to kind of, let's see, clear this here.
You got a question on 4 million, didn't you, Tim?
Yeah. So the question on 4 million was, is still around par. And we keep talking about the CPI. The question was, can you give us more solution tweaks on how to get to the 16, how to get away from the -5? What are some of the things that, and I think it's a module answer, Tom. What are the ways to fix the bottom blood pressure?
Well, first of all, we do cover it in module 3, which is the bottom business blood pressure, how to cure it. The first thing we've done here, folks, trust me on this, you spent an hour with me. Now you recognize you got an issue. Prior to today, in that complex P&L, I don't know if you knew it. You knew you lost 5,000. You didn't know why or how. I'm showing you right here. Here's your issue right here. I got the cuff. I hook it up. This number's too high. So we've got to be able to right size that branch for 4 million. First thing we'll do is forecast what the 90 days looks like. I've got people today that ultimately will create their own pars. What I say is par doesn't mean what you're going to say is par. If I say par is 100 in this example, well, so let's just use 100. I'll use easy numbers, right? 100 times $4 million is I've got a $40,000 budget for all my expenses, right? Isn't that right? If I take $4 million times 100 basis points, 1%, it's $40,000. So I've got a $40,000 budget. If I want to keep that number at 100, I got a $40,000 budget. What comprises that? How much is my rent? How much are my utilities? What are my people costs? I guarantee you in this scenario, it's people cost that's causing the issue. Now, could you have them take the summer off until, some ideas? Take the summer off. I know you got 3 kids. Why don't you take the summer off? I'm not going to lay you off, but take the summer off. Reduce hours. Go to 32 hours instead of 40, right? Get rid of some of the other stuff. Some of you may have some legacy costs there. Some of you may be taking money out yourselves. So it just depends. And again, it's custom. But if that number's 100, you got reverse engineer this, you got $40,000. You got to keep your expenses in $40,000. In that $4 million example, if I got 1.68%, folks, you're doing $4 million. You got $67,000 in expenses without LO comp. So that's the struggle. Hopefully I answered that. Give us another one, Tim.
That was good. It was all around that, and about par, it was around par. Back to that same question, par being 130, right, on CPI.
Right. And how do we get there? We got to
Yes.
get there. This number, you can see we got there in the top number of B101, right? We're already there. We need to get there on B102. How do we do that? Raise the top or lower the bottom? Plain and simple. Now that's easier said than done, right? Oh my God, I got to lay off Mary. She's been with me 12 years. But again, if you're running a business, if you want to keep Mary, God bless America, you're going to lose $5,000 every month. Long as you accept that, I'm good with it. But don't go at it blind. Don't say, oh my God, I don't know what it is. I'm afraid to look.
Next question, Tom, was about the $8 million comparison. Can you throw that on the screen? The impressive 39. Please divulge the secrets.
I don't know if there's any secrets. I will give you some secrets. I will give you some. Let me give you some secrets. 1940 times 0.39%. So they had a budget of $7,500 is what they were spending in expenses. Okay. I don't remember how many loans this particular branch closed. It might have been, if it's 300,000, might have closed 7 loans, right? If that's example. So 7 loans. If the company charged them $600 to process a loan, it'd be $4,200. They got rent, utilities, some expense of, FedEx and things of that nature, but you'd be pretty reasonable. This particular branch was using what they called shared services inside their organization. So they didn't have to have a whole processor. If you had a whole processor, let's just say a whole processor, they can do 20 a month. You're only giving them 7. 13 of that, 13 loans is unused capacity. It's human resource waste. You're killing yourself with that. Now, if that number doesn't change through the process, that's textbook. Majestic Mortgage hit a record. I think it's June of, I can't remember, was it June? It was 05 or something like that, way back when. We made $818,000 in a month. The reason why we made it, our top number was only, I put Majestic Mortgage numbers in there. So if you join the program, I converted all Majestic Mortgage numbers from 15, 20 years ago into the system. They're 3-digit dates. You'll look at it immediately and say, holy cow, what did you do here? We got kids out of college and mixed them with senior people. So I was paying some 50 and some 30. Right. So I was like assembling my components in Mexico because it was cheaper. I got kids that we trained the business for. That's how I kept my costs down. I didn't have a whole lot of overhead, in my locations were probably A- locations. Some of you have been there. You think, wow, this isn't really I understood that I had to keep my expenses low. That's how I made money. But then I call it the back up the truck mentality. The same thing here. If you've got the model working, now back up the truck and do 19 million. That'll work. If this branch down here does 25 million, they're going to just lose more money. They're not going to make it up in volume because the revenue coming in is only going to be 188. Now, could be product mix. This company could be doing a bunch of jumbos back in the day, but it's discounting. I know that to be true most of the time. Other questions, Tim?
Yeah, that's what I got, right. I know you have that conference call you have to jump on. So, but I think we're good for right now. If there's any last questions, feel free to unmute or, I'll thank you, Tom, for taking
anybody have a takeaway? Share with you. Anybody have a takeaway? I'd love to hear your thoughts on, you got 2 choices, either adapt to being able to make money or change your website to xyzmortgage.org. I'll leave with one last thought. My approach was coming to the branch managers. Why? Because I think they're the redheaded stepchild. I think there's companies that pay a lot of money to a lot of people to help them on their P&L, to help them guide them through the process. The problem is it doesn't trickle down to the branch. I want to start from the branch and trickle up to the organization. I think that's where where I'm going to see this is I'm going to knock somebody out that's going to knock it out of the park, and they're going to say, holy cow, look at Joe. And then we'll see it. So my loyalty, will I take a company? Yes. Because they'll be able to trickle it down into multiple branches. But from a company's perspective, 32 branches, being able to see them on one screen, the CEO has outsourced this to probably a CFO or somebody in the C-suite. Now they can look at the whole thing. It's like, holy cow.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, if I were further up the chain in the executive team, I would go nuts to be able to have something like this, to be able to make it simple for them as well to see where the issues are. like I said, simplicity. You make this so easy for people to be able to see. Now, the next piece of what I did say was, what are you going to do with it? And that's where the work comes in, because it's
No
you know
doubt.
how complex the rest of it is unraveling. You can see it. You know where the problem is. Now it's a matter of fixing it. It's like a doctor. All right, I know what's wrong with you. Now we have to figure out how we're going to fix it. Right.
Well, you got to go get the grapefruit, pick the grapefruit out and throw it out, right? Other than just leave
Yeah.
it in there for the next week, because otherwise it's still going to smell.
No, this is Megan. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hi, Megan.
Let me see if I can turn my video on. There you go. There we go. No, just for anyone who's on here, my business partner and I were really big producers. It was always just the two of us. We own a brokerage, and all of a sudden we brought on 10 loan officers, and we were working so hard and not making any money. And so, we met Tom, we got introduced to Tom, and I'm pretty good with numbers, but couldn't quite figure it out looking at these huge P&Ls. And when he showed us this, we realized that our loan officers were, we didn't have the right system in place, and they were, locking loans underneath what our average had always been. And we literally had to go have a conversation with them within a week. I think it was probably the next day or a week or two. And we put it right in front of them and showed them this mathematical calculation and said, listen, like, we want to have you all here, but we're not going to work and keep closing, a couple hundred loans to be able to keep you here. And, so we need your help with this. And it turned it around in a matter of 30 days. Like,
Yeah,
it was just being
gives me
clear with
chills.
them.
That gives me chills to hear you say that, only because I remember the conversation, right? And it just becomes, let's expose where the issues are. So you did loan by loan officer comparison and said, holy cow, let's look at Joe here. And all of a sudden it's like, that wasn't our deal, right? And I think that was the approach that you take is,
Yeah.
Wait a minute, dude, that wasn't the deal. You said you could sell this rate sheet and I agreed to pay you this. If you
And-
can't sell that rate sheet, I got to cut you down to this.
And not only that, when we've had loan officers come to us after that and they want more compensation, for example, I've done the same thing. I do it with their individual pipeline. I put in their top bips, and then I take an average of what it costs, and I'll show, and of course, the person who asked us to, give them more compensation, they were locking the lowest. So I showed them and I said, okay, well, we can do that, but then you can't use our processing. You're going to have to go get, outside contract processing. Oh, I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, where are we going to fit this then? Like, you tell me. And we left that conversation, and he never asked again.
Yeah. God bless you.